Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Chris, and this is a new lesson and discussion on YouTube for Learn British English Free. Thank you for joining me. Now, you can see here today on the right of the screen, we have a new friend who I will introduce shortly. The topic of discussion today is about the use of AI in studying, learning, and teaching English. I want to share some thoughts on it, and I'd be delighted if anyone watching would like to write about theirs in the comments and let us know what you think too. Please use the English captions or subtitles on YouTube to read along with me. Now, this lady on the right is called Doubao, and it is a Chinese AI app. This is the one that I've been using recently. So some examples that I discuss in this video will be relating to Doubao. I will refer to it as it rather than her. I've divided this talk into four parts. I wanted to start with using AI for learning English and for practicing speaking specifically. Overall, it would seem like quite a positive idea, right? Thinking in terms of learners who are not in an English speaking country, may be difficult to find speaking partners and other resources as well, not only to do with speaking. So why not? My experience of using Doubao to speak in English is that the English it can generate is more or less perfect, very, very impressive. And it seems expecting almost to discuss or to practice talking with me when I practice in English. It even told me that my English is, and I quote, pretty good. So I was chuffed with that. And many students asked me about it when I was in China because, of course, it's hard for them to find native speakers or confident speakers to practice with. From using Doubao, which is a Chinese app but can function very well in English, it would seem that using it for speaking practice and other specific questions for learning English would be a very good idea, especially if you don't have access to the other resources that you need. And that's for learning, studying, and speaking practice more on your own. Now, something very different that we must move on to is using AI for completing academic tasks and assignments in English. This is a big no-no, to put it mildly, at least in the West or in the UK. To use AI to, say, generate an essay or even a small part of an essay is deemed completely unacceptable, and you can get a very severe punishment if you do it. Now, please don't be too confident because it's very easy for teachers to see if an essay has been done by AI or even a small part, because most students, their English won't be perfect, which is normal, right? I'm sure you can understand what I mean. And many students make the mistake that they will generate either part or a whole piece of work using AI, and it will be written like it was by a professional native speaker. It's simply unbelievable. Error-free, for example, and many other things besides that. So please don't do it. It's completely wrong. You need to be able to use English yourself to write yourself. And this includes, for example, some students may write an essay that they need to do in English, but they'll start by writing it in their own language. Let's say, for instance, off the top of my head, Chinese. And then they will simply copy the whole thing onto an online translator and translate it. That's also not good because it's the same problem, really, like using AI. You haven't written it in English yourself, and there can be also formatting errors and things which are very, very easy for teachers to spot too. There is a big cultural problem with this. AI is perceived to be quite acceptable in a lot of countries that I've come across recently. But in the West, for example, in UK universities, it is completely unacceptable. At least it should be. They're very strict about it, and any use of it, like I said, you would get a very severe punishment, at least probably failing the assignment that you've used it for as default. I hope that's clear. Please write comments or ask me questions if not. Moving on to the teaching side, and this is maybe not so serious, but I'll share some doubts. For designing lessons and lesson plans, this seems to be a quite common or one of the first ideas that comes up, and I've heard it mentioned many times. And it's not the end of the world, is it? It would make sense, especially if you need a detailed lesson plan, to at least ask an AI like Doubao to start one for you. Personally, I feel it's difficult to really expect an AI to produce an accurate and acceptable lesson plan for a class because you need to tailor it for the specific class that you're aiming to. As I'll talk about in a moment, AI and Doubao can work with very specific instructions, which helps a lot with this. But I still feel as a teacher, you need to at least input some of your own initiative and thoughts into a lesson plan. And I think that's important to remember. And besides, if you're using AI purely to generate your lesson plans, then how much teaching are you really doing? Finally, as a subpart of using it for teaching, I haven't used it much myself, but I came across something very useful where with one of my young students, they're very interested in basketball, but their English level is very low. So I wanted to find some resources or materials about basketball, but at a sort of beginner level of English. And as you can imagine, they're basically non-existent. So I thought I'd give Doubao a try. And I gave a set of instructions to write a short story in English about a boy playing basketball, written purely for beginners in English, using only the present tense for the verb conjugations. And within a second, it had generated a perfectly acceptable story. If I can share it in some way on the computer, I will do, but I'm not sure. But I was thinking if you need to generate something like that quickly rather than write it yourself, then that could be a good use of it. It seemed very effective for me. I know this contradicts my point earlier about the academic task, but it's different because I was looking on the internet for free resources you can use for this type of thing, and there weren't any. So I don't see the harm of using AI to do it, especially as Doubao is not even designed initially in an English version. It's based in Chinese. But yes, this was a very effective use of it. So I recommend using that for perhaps generating new authentic materials if you have a very specific idea that you're struggling with. AI might be the answer. I was very impressed with it in that sense. That's all. I've covered four specific parts, which I will list in the description and the notes. I hope it was useful, but conscious that it is very much my opinion and my experience is rather limited. I honestly haven't used AI much myself, only for a few things. I haven't tested its capabilities much. Please do share your thoughts, write some comments, whether you agree or disagree, have some other useful tips. That would be very interesting. I'll be sure to have a look and reply. Thanks again for your time and for listening. I hope this was of interest, and I will be back next week on Learn British English Free with a new lesson going back to British English and American English. And I've had a request to look at some of the etymology behind the different words. For example, car boot or car trunk. Why do Americans and British people use the different words for that? That'll be something I look at next time. Okay, I hope you can join me then. Please do contact me on my email address there in the bottom if you have any questions or want to talk to me. Thanks again, everyone. Bye bye for now.